Hey, this is Jeff, and welcome back to the Coito Ergo Sum DLC crossover. I technically finished Honest Hearts last week, but since the game didn't boot me back to the Mojave after the slideshow, I wanted to take another spin around the map to see if I missed anything interesting, so I stashed pretty much everything I was carrying in the reward container here at the exit in case I find any loot. I'm definitely going to stop back at the Caterpillar Mound to pick up the stuff I dropped there, if it didn't despawn. But there's one thing I find confusing right here. The player's main motivation in the DLC is to find friendly locals and help them out so they'll show you how to get back to the Mojave. Remember, right before the ambush, Jed and Stella have a big conversation about how you can't get back the way you came. But after the slideshow, the game puts you here, and when you're ready, you go back the way you came. Seems like they'd put you in a previously inaccessible location with a different exit door, but nope. Maybe you're supposed to assume you take a different path once you're out of Zion, but if that was explained, I missed it. Here's another possible plot hole. Everybody evacuated through the Pine Creek Tunnel here. Daniel and the Sorrows to Grand Staircase and the Dead Horses to Dead Horse Point, both east of Zion. Fine, but Daniel and Waking Cloud told us that when the Whitelegs invaded, children and the elderly were evacuated by a northern route, which this isn't, and then met up with some new Canaanite refugees heading east. I thought I heard something. Anyway, the adults stayed behind either to repel the Whitelegs or pack up for the main evacuation, depending on whether they decide to follow Joshua's plan or Daniel's. But my question is, if there's a path out of Zion that was safe and easy enough for the weaker members of the tribe, why couldn't the rest of them use it if you convinced them to evacuate too? I guess it's possible that Whitelegs occupied that road after the first group escaped, but again, if there's an in-game explanation, I missed it. And there's somebody on the road, but they're green on the compass, so it's not a Whiteleg. Sorrows. Is this the guy I shot by accident when he was fighting the Whitelegs? Yeah, judging from his health bar, it's gotta be. Dude, why didn't you go with Daniel? I'm sure that fight is staged to give you an oh crap, the Whitelegs are already here moment. Maybe the game expects him to be killed so it doesn't bother despawning him with the rest of the evacuees, but I actually managed to save him, so now he's just here forever, I guess. Since we're close, I want to go around the corner to see if the spore plants near the Vault 22 guard camp are back. They literally disappeared before my eyes when we were on the way to lay the ghost of She to rest. More cazadores. Right. We saw the cazadores were back when we passed by with the Grand Staircase map for Daniel. But the spore plants are not. I suspect the game despawns everything in this gully except the yaguai while the quest for Whitebird is active so the bears don't get distracted by other wildlife. But apparently the bees respawn and the spore plants don't, which is the opposite of what I'd pick if it was my choice, but it's not. Looks like my stuff is still here. Excellent. I still wouldn't recommend letting stuff lay around like this in most circumstances, which is why I only dropped things I wouldn't be heartbroken to lose. I joked about somebody wandering by and thinking they hit the jackpot, but sometimes NPCs really will pick up a nearby weapon if their own is broken or if it's just way better. Plus, items can glitch through the terrain or otherwise disappear even if they aren't literally despawned by the game. Looks like the Sorrows camp is indeed abandoned. The guy they left behind on the road can have it all to himself now. I'm not going the rest of the way in. There are always people near that little lean-to, so I think it's safe to assume the ones farther in are gone too. Now, there was a big area in the northwest part of the map where I never went. Yeah, right there. An area that big that we didn't visit for any quests probably has something worth investigating, right? Well, other than a bunch of spore plants and spore carriers, the only thing here is this abandoned camp. No notes or other clues about who they were, except they had generators and lights, so they're not recent post-war tribals. If I had to guess, I'd say they were probably Vault 22 dwellers who either escaped from the Overseer... Hello. or were what was left of the main group after Randall Clark got through with them and they decided to flee. Either way, they succumbed to the spore infestation before they got very far. But that's just a guess. I'm sorry I missed the action, but I'm glad I wasn't part of it. I guess the giant gecko killed the cazador, but then died of poison. Not sure how the ant was involved. Anyway, it's getting dark, so I'm going to sleep in the ranger station and continue my tour in the morning. Some Datura route. There's the crashed plane. Too bad the weather sucks, but it is what it is. Now, is there any way to get up there? There's a wing, but with that overhang, not a chance. That might be doable. I'm not optimistic, but maybe. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's unreachable, but turn off clipping and take a look. Yeah, big swaths of unfinished ground with just the default texture like that means the game doesn't intend for you to ever be up here. But still, now we've seen it. There's an untagged map marker right here, probably that campground, and white legs. I'm not getting a map marker. Datura route. Okay, maybe it's not this campground. It moves around on the compass like crazy when I strafe, so it's got to be close. Toilet. Not sure why I found that so fascinating. I guess I just expect an outhouse or something. Or Datura. There we go. Quart Fork Overlook. Anything special about it, or? Well, if it's an overlook, maybe it's one of the places that Follows Chalk's companion perk would have activated. Scenic Overlook. Yeah, probably so. And what are we overlooking? Another untagged map marker, for starters. Dagger's Point. Well, it's a point. And that is... I think that's the ranger station we saw from the red gate. The compass marker that's already tagged has to be that bridge. And I guess the station's too far away to register yet. Let's go take a look. Ranger Substation Eagle. Anything interesting besides geckos and a pickup in the garage? Bobby pin. Worth the trip right there. Very hard locked gun case. Well, that's got to be good. 308 ammo. Never say no to that. I'm pretty sure a hunting rifle is the only item I can repair the Enfield with, but I think it's in pretty good shape. Yeah, so no point hauling that home. Almost missed the first aid kit. 10 stim packs. Glad I didn't. That canyon is where the White Legs camp is, or was. The slideshow says the White Legs eventually disband after the Legion denies them membership because they failed to destroy the new Canaanites. But I don't know if the game immediately despawns them or if they'll still be here. 3 Marys. But I actually noticed over here, I think this is the canyon at the very start of the DLC, where the caravan gets ambushed on one side, and then you cross the rope bridge and meet Follows Chalk on the other side. Yep, that's the rope bridge right there. And there's the precariously balanced cart. This water is definitely too shallow to break your fall if you jumped from up there, and everything's an overhang, so you can't shimmy your way down. Yeah, I think you have no choice but to cross that bridge. 3 Marys. Yeah, in the first episode when we were on the way to the Dead Horses camp, I mentioned remembering a big battle in a river in a canyon. This is where it happens, not there. So when I played it before, I'm sure I sided with Joshua. And I see red on the compass. So there are still white legs here. And somebody's still shooting, but not at me. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in this DLC that I didn't remember. I said when I started that it had been a long time since I played it, but the passage of time wasn't the only factor. This might only be the 3rd or 4th time I've played it ever. I know I played it when it came out, and again when I was making and testing the DLC crossover mod, but unlike Old World Blues or Lonesome Road, it's not something I felt like doing every time I replayed New Vegas, which I've done a lot. And unlike Courier Jeff, who I try to roleplay as much as possible like myself, some of my other characters aren't very nice. So it's possible that this was the first time I ever sided with Daniel. Speaking of which, thanks to the people who pointed out in the comments that siding with Joshua and killing Salt Upon Wounds demoralizes the white legs, so they leave the valley in shame. But the back of my mind was telling me there was something about the Joshua ending that bugged me. I looked it up after I finished last week's episode, and the Sorrows and Dead Horses become more militaristic and less friendly with each other if you help Joshua crush the white legs. Of course, we ended up running into Salt Upon Wounds anyway, and I shot him in the head without even talking to him, which might be why one of the Dead Horses slides said they flourish along the Colorado, but they revere Joshua's legend more than Daniel's faith. And I still have no idea where that shooting's coming from. This seems vaguely familiar. Natural bridge over the river. What's up there? Nothing red on the compass. That shooting's still going on, but if it doesn't have anything to do with me, that's fine. It might be a bug, like the audio's stuck in a loop or something. And there's a cave up here. Okay, yeah, I think there's an ambush and they blow up the bridge or something so you can't get around, and then you have to go through the cave to get to the next section of the battle. And there's something hostile in here. White leg sleeping. Said I wanted a happy ending for the Sorrows and Dead Horses. Didn't say anything about the white legs. Okay, I think that's all of them, and that looks like the exit, maybe. Yep. Red on the compass. And is it just me, or is that shooting louder? Well, I don't see anything in the direction of the compass tick. Guess we'll keep going. Can I get down that? Yeah, no problem. 15 hollow points left. What's up there? Well, there's something up there, or there wouldn't be a torch. I should probably switch back to the pistol unless it really hits the fan. I don't see anybody. Okay, now I see red. Shotgun trap. Glad I have light step. Oh, that tripwire's pretty clever. It's over the crest of the hill when you're coming up, so you can't see it until the last second. Or at all, in my case. Locked crate. What goodies do you contain? Okay. I guess they didn't want anybody stealing their cigarettes. And level up. Put it all in explosives. Bear trap. Yeah, this is why I was confused about where the battle happens. The canyon with the White Legs camp and the canyon with the Dead Horses camp both have traps in the river. Oh, I will get up this. Ha-ha! Whether or not it does me any good remains to be seen. It does keep going. And there's a path up the cliff on the other side. Might be an even better vantage point, but I'd rather be where they won't expect me. I like how the canyon is full of trash to... Excuse me? Ow. Ow. I like how the throwing axes stick in you. As I was saying, I like how the canyon is full of trash to reinforce the idea that the White Legs can't live off the land. They're raiders and scavengers. And there's still a bit more to go. It's starting to get dark. I wonder if I can add a little bit of insult to injury. If there's nobody else around, no red on the compass. Yes. I can take a nap right in the middle of their camp, among their dead. It'd be funny if the game just insta-killed you, like, what were you thinking? Nope. They were like, I'm not going up there, man. What if he's faking? Have some breakfast before we get to the end. I don't remember where the final confrontation with Salt Upon Wounds happens if you side with Joshua. This might be it, but I kind of remember it being on a hill, not at the bottom of the canyon. Locked suitcase. That's actually some pretty good stuff. In fact, I'll take all of that except the clothes. But it looks like this is it. More trash. A few containers back there. I think we finally found him. Guy had so much hearing damage from doing target practice 24/7 that he didn't notice me slaughtering his entire tribe. Let me guess, he was almost out of ammo and he only has 10 rounds left. 24. Could be worse. I'll take another Tommy gun so Kakata and I can have a matched set. Is this his shooting range? Oh man, for somebody who practiced that much, he was a terrible shot. One thing I didn't notice until I was editing last week's episode when we found Randall Clark's final resting place in his last note, I didn't get the message that I found 6 out of 6 caches. We found a total of 5 in previous episodes, and I thought his duffel bag was the last one. But it's actually not. The last cache is supposedly in the backyard area of Angel Cave, where I slept at the end of the first episode. So our next stop at Cazadores. Hey! Thought enemies couldn't attack you while you were underwater. I need some antivenom stat. The poison trashes your agility so you don't have any action points. 3 of them. They stack enough poison and Stimpaks can't keep up. I need more... They had me stun locked so I couldn't get the Pip-Boy open to use antivenom or get out a bigger gun. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Survive the nastiest plot stuff in 2 straight DLCs and then die doing a nice casual outro. Glad I had an autosave from where I slept in the White Legs camp. We've already seen the rest of the canyon in daylight. I'm just going to head to the Dead Horses camp. Oh, but that means target practice guy gets to live. Okay, my headcanon is he and the one Sorrows guy who was left behind are the only 2 people left in the valley. They overcome their differences to survive and become best friends. Perfect. By the way, the 4th workbench crate is here in Angel Cave where we first met Joshua. No books, but some more Datura root. Nice. Right beside the little raised area where he was cleaning guns. And out back should be the last survivalist cache. But it's dark, so I think I am going to sleep now, and we can find that tomorrow morning. Is that it right there? Yes, it is. Even has the white handprint. Cooking and sleeping out here is fine, just don't touch the duffel bag. 6 out of 6. No XP? Apparently not. Anyway, considering how far away I can see map markers on my compass, I think we found everything around the edges of the map, but there's a pretty big swath in the middle where I could have missed something. So let's find a spot in the middle of the map and scan from there. Yeah, there is an untagged marker over there. Let's check it out. More Datura route. We're close. Sun Sentinels. Looks like another geographical feature. Not much up here except geckos and some plants for crafting that I can see. Is that a natural bridge? Looks like a bridge. Come on. I've climbed rocks much more unclimbable than this. There we go. Don't fall off. Another ramp. Oh yeah. Now that is sweet. Bighorner having convulsions. Looks like it killed a scorpion or something. Bear. Yeah, this was worth the climb even if there isn't any loot. So here's the final question before we head back to the Mojave. If I liked Dead Money better when I played it for the DLC crossover, is the same true of Honest Hearts? I'd say my opinion of Honest Hearts improved, but not as much as my opinion of Dead Money. Of course, that's mostly because I remembered really not liking Dead Money. So it's like Dead Money went from 1 star out of 10 to 6, while this one went from 5 to 6. And to be perfectly clear, that's not a star rating of how good they are in any objective sense, it's just how much I enjoyed playing them. Does that mean I like Dead Money as much as Honest Hearts now? I'm not sure about that. Maybe Honest Hearts went up to a 7. So what made me feel that way? First, some things I always liked and still do. I enjoy the use of verticality, especially as it relates to exploration and combat tactics. And the art style is very distinct from the Mojave. It's visually very appealing, especially coming right after the dreary, cloud-obscured, everything looks the same vibe of the Dead Money Villa. There were also some things I remembered not really working for me and still don't. The map is big and wide open, more like the base game than Dead Money, which would be great, except a lot of it is basically empty. I'm not saying there needs to be loot or enemies or lore or a view like this stuffed into every nook and cranny, and maybe I was especially sensitive to it this time around because I avoid fast travel in hardcore mode, but trust me, you were spared a lot of walking in dead air through the magic of editing. And I've probably been too preachy already about the controversy over Native American stereotypes, but if I really want to thoughtfully reevaluate how I feel about the DLC as a whole, I can't ignore it. I find myself not landing firmly on either side of the argument. Some people have said it's overtly racist, and the whole "they're not really Native Americans" thing was just thrown in as a get-out-of-jail-free card, which might hold water if it was just one note on a terminal someplace that felt like an afterthought. But given the amount of thought that went into the tribal dialects and the level of detail in the unmarked quest to discover the story of the survivalist, I don't buy that. On the other hand, if you did the main quest without a lot of optional exploration, you could very easily miss the Randall Clark stuff entirely. There are other clues about the tribal's origins in some of the dialogue with principal characters, but it's buried pretty deep in their dialogue trees, so that's easy to miss too. And the linguistic clues don't work if you don't pay close attention to background NPCs, and who does, or if you don't speak the root languages they're based on. I just happen to speak a bit of Spanish, and I took a couple semesters of German in college. It's really rusty. And by the way, the only incidental dialogue I heard from Whitelegs was in combat, so I can't say for sure, but what I did hear sounded mostly like slightly diverged English with a smattering of German thrown in. The one I heard a lot was "You can no ninkumpa me," which is pretty much straight English with one slightly distorted German word. Fight me in German is "bekämpfe mich." Ninkumpa, bekämpfe, pretty similar. So you can no fight me. Bottom line, if the intention was to prompt players to examine their own stereotypes, they dropped the ball a little bit. I'd say their intentions were probably good, but they didn't quite nail the execution. So what did I like better this time around? Well, I remembered being lost a lot when I played it before, but I didn't have any problems navigating this time. That might also be a side effect of hardcore mode because walking everywhere, I pay a lot more attention to landmarks. And the biggest thing was the NPCs. I remember them being kind of bland, and I don't know if that's because at the time I was used to larger-than-life personalities getting caught up in world-shaking events, or just because I made a conscious effort to dig really deep into their dialogue trees this time. Or maybe both. And except for Joshua, they are all just ordinary people with ordinary concerns who are forced to deal with a situation that's extraordinary by their standards, but fairly routine for the Courier. But once I got to know them better, I thought they were interesting and relatable, and I got pretty invested in their stories. Anyway, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, I'd say Honest Hearts was better than I remembered, but it still doesn't quite make it onto my must-play list like Old World Blues and Lonesome Road. Okay, I lied. One more thing. In the first episode, I started walking down this road around the corner from the Welcome Center because I thought it led to the Dead Horses camp, but Follows Chalk told me I was going the wrong way, so I turned around. Then I kind of had it in the back of my head that it was the road to the Pine Creek Tunnel, but that's nowhere near here. So I wanted to see where it does go, and it looks like nowhere. Well, glad I sorted that out before we left. Sorry, one more thing. Remember when I got my survival skill up to 100 and I said I was going to craft something before we went back to the Mojave? Bet you didn't think I'd remember, but that's why I've been picking every Datura route I saw this week. I think that's the only new plant in the DLC, and we can't get them at home. And it looks like the only thing I have the other ingredients to make is Daturana, which is actually really good. It's like a doctor's bag, but weighs 0. Yeah, I'll have some of that. Okay, now we can go. Grab everything from the locker. And I'm massively over-encumbered, but that doesn't matter because I have the long haul perk, so I can fast travel home and sort it there. Departing Paradise. I think that quest is only there so you have a map marker for the exit. Didn't get any XP or anything. Of course, just getting to the other end of this cave might be pretty painful. Home sweet home. Let's put some of this junk away and show Kakata her souvenirs. Joshua's pistol and the compliance regulator on the pistol shelf. And Kakata's already in bed. She's used to me coming in at odd hours. I think I'll show her what I got her tomorrow. Hey neighbor, brought this back from Utah for you. Make tea with it and you will trip like a mofo. Okay, if I just leave it there, I can't get it to stay on the shelf. It seems that an amateur anthropologist documented the clothing and jewelry worn by the inhabitants of Zion Canyon. The patterns contain enough detail to be scanned by a Wardromatic terminal and used to replicate the outfits of the region's tribals. So let's make a few things for the staff. Okay, you walk into a bar and the bouncer looks like that. You gonna cause trouble? 'Cause I'm not. One more thing with the Wardromatic before I get to the magazines. A friend of mine hates the park ranger hat because Courier Jeff looks like me and it looks weird on him because the only hat I ever wear in real life is like a knit cap. I can't literally blow it up like she suggested, but I can recycle it in the Wardromatic. Recycle current contents. You're welcome, amiga. Now I just need to Google a real-life park ranger hat to wear the next time I see her. We'll do a Tribals theme issue with Waking Cloud on the cover. Melissa Lewis, the great con drug dealer who hangs out at the quarry, in front. And my next-door neighbor in back. Larry doesn't have any special dialogue for any of them, so let's notify the distributor. And there's the Luma screen. Very nice. I think this might be our first issue of He3, the magazine with male models. Can't really increase our NCR rep or hurt our Legion rep any more than we already have, so pure erotica will make the most money. And that's a problem. We don't have enough film in the can to do a theme issue. Hold that thought. Be right back. No modeling dialogue. Bitterroot, you have an unusual name.
You trying to start trouble? Or do you really not know where I got that name?
I didn't mean to offend. You don't have to tell me if you'd rather not.
It's a con name. You know, the great cons. That's what my parents were. I figured I grew up around the bastards. They owed me a name after all they put me through.
Yeah, sometimes you can't recruit a model the first time you talk to them. You have to get to know them a little better first.
Yeah, that's probably best.
Here we go. Ever heard of He3? It's like Lollipop's magazine, but with male models.
What about it?
Can you take a few hours of leave to pose? The brass already cleared it.
Sure.
Despite apparently never having talked to him before, that was presumably a lot easier than it would have been if, my reputation with the NCR wasn't idolized. And the brass already cleared it isn't just blowing smoke. If you didn't see the main Coito Ergo Sum walkthrough, there's actually a way to get the NCR military to officially authorize their personnel to pose as a hearts and minds mission. And that's not default underwear. Right. Studio shoots work differently from on-site shoots. In the studio, most models get two outfits. One that's a little bit of a tease for the first half, and then they get naked for the second half. Which means he'll actually put clothes on halfway through, ditch the boxers, and change to the vanilla t-shirt and shorts. Nope, that's a dick. Apparently I did put a bit of extra effort into some of the male models. Well, you're welcome. Try this again. He3, pure erotica, follows chalk on the cover, Bitterroot in front, and Jack, the great cons chemist, in back. And there's the Luma screen. But now I have a real problem. Daniel qualifies for the Bookworms theme or the Doctor's theme. For Doctors, I'd either have to add photo shoot support for a character who's planned but isn't currently implemented yet, or use Arcade. And Arcade's a top-tier cover model, plus he also qualifies for the Followers of the Apocalypse and Freeside themes. I don't want to waste him in an issue with Daniel on the cover when he could headline a bestseller of his own. But to do a Bookworms theme, I'd want to use Fantastic, and I'm 99% sure I never completed Lucky Old Sun. And believe it or not, I actually remembered to call the bullet train back to this station after a photo shoot. And it only took me 40 episodes of the main walkthrough and 15 episodes of the crossover walkthrough. Anyway, when I shot, what's her name? The officer at Helios One, Lieutenant Haggerty. I was surprised because she gave me the restricted area speech, and she acted like I'd never met her before.
Our expert is an idiot. Hell, he might as well be a saboteur. I guess you couldn't do any worse. Have him fill you in on the details. He's in the back of the building. You'll know him when you see him. Keeps his sunglasses on all the time, even when he's sleeping.
It's unusual to see a new face here. Are you a soldier or a scientist?
Got a 2-for-1 on Bookworms today. My interest in this place is scientific. Photography's a science, right?
Then we have that in common. Whom do you typically work with?
This is your turf. For all I know, you could have me killed for my allegiance. Who are you with?
Very well, yes. I'm part of the followers of the apocalypse. If you're not familiar, we seek peace and the spread of knowledge. Knowledge that must never be lost to the world. Now your turn.
I just do what's necessary to keep the peace.
That's reassuring, although many who've made that claim over the years have had less than pure intentions. But if it's really as you say, then take my advice. This installation carries with it dangers that no one here has realized.
Will you do an interview and photo shoot for my magazine? The followers need some good publicity.
Why do you think that?
Most speech checks with members of specific factions in Coito Ergo Sum are modified by your faction reputation. This would ordinarily be medium difficulty if your reputation with the followers was neutral, but since my followers' rep is idolized, it's automatic. Since we can't get any XP, we'll play the Julie card. You only get this option if she already posed, which she did. Julie Farkas agrees with me. That's why she posed.
Really? The leader of the followers of the apocalypse? Well, I guess I could do that.
If you don't trust the idiot in sunglasses to be alone with the equipment, we can just shoot here.
That makes sense.
Fantastic's coming over to check out what's going on in here. Nope. Well, maybe I will watch just a little. Hey, man. Pay attention, you're next.
Who the hell are you? They bring you in to replace me? They're replacing me, aren't they?
Settle down. I'm not here to replace anyone.
Damn right you're not. Goddamn right. Why would they? You can't top this guy. Just a little more time. You can't keep Fantastic down for long.
Excellent. I don't have to finish the quest to recruit him either. Some characters you do, but I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. Want to pose for He3 magazine? It pays 50 caps.
Hey, all right, man.
Yeah, like Ringo. You have to complete Ghost Town Gunfight before you can ask him to pose. He won't do it while the Powder Gangers are a threat to Goodsprings. Get out the camera, take a few pictures. Hopefully his first half outfit isn't completely exposed. Nope. Looks like he's got a very stylish banana hammock. I might go back and finish Lucky Old Son just so it's not cluttering up my quest log. And, get some XP. But I'll probably do that off-screen because it has nothing to do with Coito Ergo Sum or the DLC crossover. And I'll probably do it the fair way. I can't deny the prospect of having another super weapon at my disposal is tempting, but it's bugged, and even when it works right, it really isn't very practical in-game. And he's about to get naked, so I'll stop recording. Daniel on the cover. Ignacio in front. And Fantastic for the big finish. I was too lazy to do the digital blur, but he got quite lewd during the photo shoot. And here's the Luma screen. As I've explained before, they're not real-time screenshots from the photo shoots, they're pre-rendered, which is why he's naked here, even though he was in his underwear when we were taking pictures. And that reminds me, there was something I didn't comment on during his photo shoot, didn't even notice until I was editing that episode, but it's probably worth throwing in here while I head home. Check out Waking Cloud acting like she's looking at her watch, like she's getting really impatient, even though she doesn't have a watch and probably doesn't even know what one is. Well, unless one of the new Canaanites had one and she saw that. And I didn't do that. That's a plain vanilla behavior in the game. Some companions have situational dialogue if the player is AFK, and apparently they have situational animations too. I just thought it was funny that that's the one she was using. Assuming future me found the clip I wanted, we're back. If not, we just shared a few minutes of awkward silence. Anyway, I'm going to take some time off for the holidays and pick this back up with one of the other DLCs early next year. I'll put up a poll for which one I should do next. I'm leaning toward Lonesome Road because I could start it right away and buy myself a little more time to finish the Old World Blues module. On the other hand, doing Old World Blues next would mean I did them all in their official release order, and we could pick up some clues about Ulysses in the Big Empty that might be helpful when we finally beat him in the Divide. The only downside is it might take me longer to release episodes because I'd potentially still be working on features while I was playing. I'll make the poll right after I publish this video, so you'll have plenty of time to let me know what you think. So that's it for Honest Hearts. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, supplicate, offer sacrifices, and otherwise make appeasements to the algorithm as appropriate. And I'll see you next year.